do it right, in the right way, for the right reasons, you will see the organization start changing. You will see the organization change. The next one is called proactive. This one is, we are proactive, so we identify and analyze problems, generate potential solutions, and get buy-in for the solutions. So you're always looking for better ways to achieve your assigned tasks. You're always looking to share ideas, even if they're not very popular. But it's only through sharing ideas that you can actually discuss and learn, right, and open this up. It's asking for input from others. It's assisting colleagues in achieving targets, coming up with ideas. Be content. So examples of inappropriate behaviors, just be content with achieving the minimum. Oh, I just do my job. Just do my job. That's not being proactive. And then focus only on completing your own work, being defensive, right, or being closed-minded, not appreciating what others are saying, what others are doing. Talking about the blind spots and things like this. Being customer-driven, basically is that non-executives participate to meet the needs of internal and external customers. So know your internal and external customers. Who are they? Engage with them. Seek feedback. And in your KPIs, the one thing that we're trying to get you to put into your KPIs is you're not basing your KPIs on what you want to do, you're basing your KPIs on what your expected customers are expected for you to do. So just generating 25 reports is nothing. But generating 25 reports that have 95% satisfaction rating by your customers, that's a measure. That's a KPI. Because you have to understand what are your customers, both internal and external, what are they looking for? What do they want? And therefore you have to measure, you have to talk to them. What do you need? What do I need to do to help you? That's very, very important. And that's why I say, when you go into organizations that this is working in, the noise level goes up. Because people are talking to each other, asking each other questions. Am I doing what I need to be doing for you? How can I improve the system? What can we do together? And therefore, there's a lot of communication that's happening. Right? So the other one is that to avoid is you don't know who your customers are, you don't care. You basically are failing to address any feedback that you get. You're showing poor customer interaction. I mean, right now, you're in a situation in Span where you get how many calls a day? 15, 20 calls a day from irate customers. And that's where I go, goes into a black hole. No one ever hears about them. And there's a very frustrated colleague of yours who's at the other end of the phone trying to figure out what to do. The fact that she survived for those many years doing what she's doing, she should get a medal. Because she's basically doing a job that should be everyone's responsibility in Span. You should know what's going on. You should actually feedback on a monthly basis. How many calls did we get? What were they about? Where are the issues that are coming up? That's something that you could use. That would show customer driven. You don't share that data right now. That data doesn't, it exists, but it's not circulating. Everyone should have that data. That is customer driven. That is customer driven. Because you then start thinking about it in a different way. Strategic. So basically, this is the sixth of the seven. Non-executives understand and work towards accomplishing long-term goals. So you understand the strategies, you know why they're there, you know how they're there, they know how they apply to you. Right? So you incorporate them into your work. You're motivated and express commitment. This is not caring at all and only focusing on your own results. And the last one is studious, this idea of applying and continuously building your own competencies and knowledge. You need to be confident in the subject related to your job. You need to know your strengths and weaknesses. What do I still need to know? What can I be better at? How can I build up my competencies? Apply yourself to the best of your abilities and competencies. Keep up to date with the latest developments. Be curious. Continuously look to build your knowledge and competencies. And on the other side, it is overestimating what you know. It's being unaware of market trends. It's being focused on past experience only in making decisions. And it's having a lack of interest in sharing what you know. Communicating to others what you've learned. That's key. Okay, so these are the seven. Any questions on them? Sorry. Any questions on this? Any questions on this? There was a question yesterday that came up. They said, okay, if I'm a non-executive, my behaviors will be reviewed during the job performance evaluation. But hey, what about the HOD? What if they're not good? What if they're misbehaving? This is missing. Yeah. That you do through employee engagement survey. The employee engagement survey picks up on issues that HODs and executives have with doing what's expected. These are expected of them.
Okay, so they will be remain anonymous?
Yeah. And one of the key things is that you're only 280 people, and some departments are very small. So you have to figure out a way of informing the bosses when you have very few employees. Because it becomes pretty easy. You know, if you have one person working for you and there's a complaint, it's like, oh, I know who that is, right? Or if you only have 2 or 3. So there's issues with regard to anonymity, keeping it anonymous, but yet being informative. And that's something, but normally it's done online through things like SurveyMonkey, etc. It is anonymous that way. We just need to track who has answered it. Normally it's an outside party that does that for you. So not even HR knows who said that. Yeah. Usually it's the way it's done. And in your case, you're going to have to change whatever engagement survey you had because they have to align with the 7. That's what you measure. You're not interested in anything else. You measure the 7 behaviors because these are the ones that are impacting the organization.
One of the things I think I believe that engineers face is that the fear of get known, the fear of get known of whatever we complain, if any, you know, and that becomes the point to be blamed or to be, you know.
Yeah. A couple of things is that one is that we now have certain behaviors that we know are important. These are the things that we're going to focus on. So no gossip needed, right? Or no lack of transparency. Once we talk about those behaviors always become cornerstones. They are things that we are allowed to talk about and we feel comfortable talking about. Again, it hasn't happened in your organization yet, so it says, oh, I don't know what that means. I haven't lived that yet. But we can tell you if it's done properly and people take it seriously, it becomes the norm. And that's why I say, with honesty, with discipline, with these things, you talking about facts of dishonesty is required for the system to work. It's not because you're just spying and you know, how should I say, destroying somebody's career. That's not what this is about. This is about actually standing and doing everything together, consistently. You know, your colleagues have been in this room and basically have said, you know, I've written 20 pages of complaints and they have gone unanswered. It's like, that's unacceptable, right? But at the same time, now the complaints are going to be heard and particularly being entered into this way than normally they do. So that's even worse, is when you have a complaint and it goes nowhere. Let alone being blamed, because hey, you're going to be blamed anyway. But that in fact it goes nowhere is for no reason. Oh, that's terrible. That's a huge demotivator. That's a huge demotivator.
Then how about your view if there is tiny numbers of turnover of the employees, and if the upper, the upper level has this kind of like some sort of like evidence that they are, as if they are not doing their job satisfactorily or fail to meet certain expectation, but losing talented person is not 100% because of the work performance. Other factors contributing it. But when in, for example, in certain department has a numbers of turnover, does it solely because of performance?
It could be that the interaction between the boss and the employee is poor. So therefore there's a higher preponderance of people going out. But there could be so many other factors. One of the ways of telling is that within that department that sees a lot of turnover, what is the employee engagement survey saying? Are employees happy or not happy? Are they motivated or not motivated? Because it could be like in IT or in customer service areas, there's always a very high turnover. That's a natural part of the job. So that is not an issue with the boss. It's just the nature of the job. So you have to divorce the idea of, is it an issue within the department or is it just a natural phenomenon? And the way you do that is through data, surveys, feedback, etc. You will also see in the forms at the end, when your ratings come out, your HOD has to sign off on that form. They have to see what you've said and what your boss has said. You'll see this later this morning. So if an HOD sees that there are issues within the department and does nothing about them, it's done. It's done. Right? And therefore, the CEO, and for that matter, commission members, can ask to see the data. So there's transparency in what's going on. It's not behind closed doors in the dark. You get a rating, here it is. No, that's not what this is about. It's about sharing because you're talking to each other in order to make this blind spot go away, in order to open up the arena. When an arena is open, there's honesty, there's trust, there's empowerment, there are things that are happening in the organization in terms of behavior. And you do that through a systematic process like this. I am nervous. You're making me nervous. Shout at me. It's okay. Okay, so before we break, what I want you to do in your charts, you have this in your handouts. Based on the 7 behaviors, I'll put those back up. What do you want to do more of? And what do you want to do less of? The things that we've just talked about. Right? Appropriate behavior, inappropriate behavior, and the 7. So do this for yourself. I'm not going to collect it. I'm not going to ask for it. Just reflect on it. Because what you're going to reflect on is what we need you to type of thinking you're going to give for this exercise. It's the type of thinking you need to be giving in your job performance. This is, you're starting to look at behaviors. You're starting to look at habits of reviewing them. So let me put it back up. So out of these 7, pick 2 or 3 you want to do something more of, and 2 or 3 that you want to do something less of. I'll give you 5-10 minutes. Take your time. Think.
ideas? Yeah? Good. So now you have something to talk to with your boss. Or remember, you don't want to hide it, right? You don't want to be part of the mask. You want to keep it to yourself. You want to ultimately open up in the arena. Yeah.
The last remove
Yeah.
right?
This one is called the unknown. You don't know, they don't know. And this you could do by exploring, by trying new things, by learning new things. And that's part of, remember number 7, studious? That's part of that. It's part about learning things. So the blind spot you open up through feedback, people telling you. So you ask questions and you get feedback.
How about the mask?
The mask is basically you have to open up, you have to tell. You have to tell people things. You have to be honest about things in your own way. You don't have to tell them all your dark, deep secrets. That's not always helpful. It's what's called TMI, too much information. So this is not about being an open book, but it's actually about useful things that people should know about. Qualities that you have that are not being used in spam. Things like this. Things like this. Or things that you might be interested in and very talented in, but are not being used at all in spam. Talk to that. That's opening up the mask. The idea is that it's healthy to be a wide arena. There's some people who are very, very closed, like super introverts. Right? They don't share any information. But so the introverts basically don't talk and don't do anything. And you don't know them. You don't know what's going on. You don't know why. That's where gossip starts. It starts by keeping a small arena. So in growing the arena, what happens is you build trust. You build your confidence level, and people start building confidence. That helps. But again, we're not supposed to be 100% open books. And it depends on cultures, etc. North Americans tend to share too much. Our arenas are too big. But and it's really important here is the feedback you get during the job performance review. Things will surprise you. I did that. People took that. Really? And you're allowed to challenge. It's not a one-way, it's a two-way. That's why we're going to do the negotiations this afternoon. Okay? Do we need a break right now, or should we go on? Break? It's been heavy, huh? Okay. Let's take a break. 10-minute break. Remember, we have to be done by around 12:30 in order to get to lunch early, right? So this is our objective for the day. Our strategy is to get done early. Okay. Not everyone's here, but that's okay. So let's talk about how are we going to measure. What are the criteria for measurement? All right. So basically, as we've said, we have KPIs and we have behaviors. Right? And all of these things, how are we going to measure these and evaluate? How are we going to get ratings? So, this is the most important thing. First of all, SPAN has about 280 people. You therefore fit the criteria. Any organization above 100 people has this curve. It's called a bell-shaped curve for obvious reasons. And basically what it says is that the vast majority of people, because this is the number of people, and this is performance, right? The vast majority of people, 60 to 70% of SPAN employees are doing their job. You're doing your job to the satisfaction of what is required. So bravo, well done. You fit this category. But within the group, there are also people who are doing exceptionally more or higher performance. This is a group of people that we call top performers or typically talent pool. These are people who are not only showing they're capable, but they're showing that they're capable of even more. Typically, that's 15 to 20%, and every so often, there's about a 5% of the population that is really outperforming everything. On the other side, there's also about 15 to 20% of the population that is not meeting expectations, that needs a little help in some cases, or needs a lot of help in other cases. And they fall into two categories. The first one is about 10 to 50% of the population that is just, they need just a little bit more boost. They need just a little bit more to get to where they need to be. But there's also about 5% of the population that is not performing, and that is in trouble. That basically should have a personal performance plan, like PPP. These are people who are visible in an organization because they basically need to either say, we can get you in order, or you need to leave because you're not able to perform. But that's only about 5% of the population. The vast majority of you sitting here, and the 60 to 70% of the population meets expectations. Now there's a big gap between reality and expectations. And in reality, or the expectation is that somebody who's performing within this category, great job, good job, you are not going to get the top rating. Why? Because the top rating is more than the top. Actually, you're doing a great job if you are what we call a 3 out of 4. Right? If we are to place this into 4 categories, the one is unacceptable, fails to display behaviors, or fails to meet the minimal requirements of KPIs. The second one is, yes, you are displaying that behavior in terms of confidence, but it's still not there. There's still too many gaps. Too many things you need to work on. 3 is you are displaying that behavior consistently. Well done. You meet expectations. 3 is you meet expectations. You're doing your job. Well done. Right? 4 is you're going far beyond. You're showing exceptional competencies. You're leading the organization. You're pushing. You're doing things. You're learning. Right? You're being proactive. You're being customer focused, oriented, etc. And it's very simple. It's visible because it's observable behaviors. The problem is that the vast majority of people who are 3 think they deserve a 4. We're here to tell you, no, 3 is fine. And we see this all the time in Malaysia. We see organizations that bring in a 3.5. You guys are okay, yeah, we can't give you a 3 because you're not happy with a 3, so we'll give you a 3.5. What is 3.5? It's an artificial number. Okay? It means that you do your job. Let's be honest. That's what SPAN is about. We're honest. So 3 is you do your job. Well done. 4 is you do exceptional. And you have to prove that. You have to prove it. No more favoritism, no more, I like you, I give you a 4. That's not going to go. That's not going to go. Because what happens is, right, and you know this, there's some bosses that are really nice. Everyone gets a 4. And then there are bosses that are really strict. Everyone gets a 2 or a 3. And they say, hey, it's not fair. Yeah, but the bosses who give everyone a 4, they're going to come up short. They're going to come up short because basically it's going to be very apparent in the organization what is happening there. If the department does exceptionally well as a group, okay, but maybe the majority of people deserve a 4 in that department. But if the department is just doing expectations, no one is a 4. So don't come back to us with 80% of the people in this department get a 4. That just means that the boss is being too lenient. They're not doing their job. They're not helping the organization. Right? So therefore, this system starts showing weaknesses. And weaknesses not being real, not being pending the truth. We all think that we're performing at 4, when in reality we're at 3. And it's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly acceptable. Okay? The other thing about it is that we have different levels, right? Remember the 7 behaviors? And remember we have 3 of them, right? Be honesty, discipline, and accountable. Those were basic. Now the thing with basic behavior is that you can't be exceptional in basic behavior. You can't be more honest than honest. You're either honest or you're not honest, right? Right? Agreed? Okay. So basically the maximum score you can get for any of these 3 is 3. You can't get a 4. It's not possible. You can't do, if you're supposed to do your job, you do your job. You can't do more than your job, right? If you are, then you're doing things like proactivity, customer driven, you're already taking care of it. You're already taking care of it. Discipline. The fact that you are actually doing the processes and procedures and regulations. You either do them or you don't. You don't do more than the regulations. You don't create regulations. Right? You follow regulations. So these are all about following. These are all about leading. So if you follow, you can get a 3. So your maximum rating on these 3 behaviors is 3. It's not 4, it's 3. Others, proactivity, customer-driven, strategic, and studious, you can get a 4. Absolutely. And because these are so important to the culture of SPAN, they actually get even a higher weightage. Weightage means you multiply whatever result you get here as a rating by 1 through the 3, but you multiply by 1.1. Slightly more value is given to these 4. And you can achieve a 4. You can also achieve a 2 and a 1. Just like this. Right? So what does that mean? That means that if you are the best of the best, then you get 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. You are on 5%. Your maximum score is 3.8. Not 4, 3.8. Maximum score. Because you add these up, right? So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4.4 plus 4.4, 4.4. Divide by 7, because there's 7 behaviors. It's 3.8. That's the maximum you can achieve. The average score, so if you get 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, you multiply them out, you get 3.2. Well done. Good job. So you understand this? Maximum score and multiplier effect? So this is what it means. The 5% will get 1s. The 15 to 20% of below average performers are going to get 2. The 3s are 60 to 70% of the population, and the 4s are 15 to 20%. So a rating of under 2.5 is a 1. A rating of 2.6 to 2.9 is a 2. A 3 to 3.4 is a 3. This is only behaviors, right? And anything above 3.5 you rate as a 4. And anyone who gets 3.7 and above, really top. And everything gets that 5%, but they don't get more than 4. That's a 4. You're doing good. Doing good. All right, so let's take these 7 famous behaviors, and let's look if you get the example of we got a 3, a 3, a 3. Across the board, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Good average, 3.2. Example number 2, I do exceptionally well everywhere, particularly on these 4. We get a 3.8. If I get a bad rating, or a rating below average, it's not bad, it's a rating below average on one of my factors, it's okay, you still get a 3. You do the math, you see, it's still a 3. If I do poorly on one of the most important ones, I still get a 3. So it's not like this is unfair. The system is consistent. You still get 3s. 3s are okay. 3s are okay. See, they're green. They're okay. If you get 1 bad or 1 slightly below average and 1 higher than average, you still get a good. They compensate. If you get a really bad score, though, so something that you're really defective in, and an average score on the others, you will start having the dip below the line into the yellow. Same if you get 2 out of the 7 that are 2s as opposed to 3s, you get below the line. If you get a 1 and a 2, you start really dropping. And if you get 2 1s and a 2, so half the behaviors are really not good, you are now in trouble. That's how it works. Yeah. So the system is lenient. It's fair, right? In terms of ratings. Okay, how does that work now with KPIs? Same idea, same chart. About 60 to 70% of you will hit your KPIs, will meet your KPIs, and therefore you get a 3. The top performers are people who are going to be getting really what's called the stretch targets. They hit their stretch targets on a regular basis and really outperform, they'll get 4. And those that are not hitting their targets will get 2. And those that are completely off the scale, really not hitting targets at all, and you get it close, will get a 5. So we have the same scale, different criteria of measurement, but using the same scale. It's very important that we use the same scale, and that they correspond to something that's equivalent for performance and for behavior. They're not being measured the same way, but they're the same scale. That's important.
So basically here is a topic of a lot of debate. We're not quite there yet because of a few factors. One is that we do not have the KPIs from the ministry yet. It's being negotiated. So we do not know what the targets are, the stretch targets are. The other thing is that you haven't really done all of the details of the KPIs. So we don't know where they can be. But for the moment, this is where they're at. Basically, anyone who receives 100% of their target, achieves their targets, or goes slightly beyond them, 10% beyond, is a 3. If you get really above your target, so go beyond 110%, you're starting to go into the category of 4. Not guaranteed, but you're almost getting in there. So go beyond your target into your stretch goal. Otherwise, if you are between 80% and 100% of your target, you're probably going to sit into it too. And if you're below 80% of your target, then you really are missing it substantially, and that's an issue. Now, where it's under discussion now is that, is this 80% or 70%? That's debatable. Is this 90% or 100%? That's debatable. For the moment, we advise that basically we keep it at these levels. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that right now, this is what the ministry is saying you've achieved, 87%. Do you know what your internal KPI ratings are saying? As a group, you're saying you reached this target. Based on the KPIs you have today, your achievement is about 122%. So there's a problem. There's a problem between how you're rating yourself and how your big boss is rating you, right? And it's a big gap. It's a 30% to 40% gap. Now, it's not that you all think that you're being heroes here. It's because you have the wrong rating system, and I'll show you what that means and why that is. So it's not you, it's the system you're using that's been properly put in place. So everyone's looking around and saying, hey, well, I'm doing a great job. Yeah, I should get a bonus. Come on. And meanwhile, as a group, it's like, oh, no, you're not. You're not performing. I'm great, but everyone else is bad. That's why. No, it's because the system is not set up properly. So it's not you, it's the system, it's a process. So because of this discrepancy between where you're currently laying yourself versus where you really are at, we've advised that you basically try to keep that concept of 100%. Focus on 100%. Be more realistic. Bring it down. Because this needs to move up. You need to meet each other at a real number, not at an artificially high number that you currently have. That's what we advise. Whether or not you end up there, we don't know, but basically that's what it would be. Maybe this will be 70%, maybe this will be 90%. I just think it's easier to work with 100%. There's no gap. So basically, what this says is that if you reach your target, job well done for you. If you get your stretch target, which overachieve, then basically it's a 4. If you underachieve, it's a 2 or a 1. Understood? So and I'll show you what happens now. This is an actual example. This is one of your colleagues that had 3 KPIs, A, B, and C. We took out the KPI because that way you can't tell who that colleague is. Anonymous, but it's a true case. Okay? This colleague had a weightage average. A was important, so it's 30% of the grade. B was also 30% of the grade, and C was the most important, so 40%. That's the weighted average. Now, this individual in A, KPI, got 300%. Wow! Fantastic result. But on B, they only got 10%. They didn't do B. Completely missed B. And C, 80%, not good. Under your current system, what happened is that you multiplied the target achievement by the weighted average. So 300% times 30% is 100%. 10% times 30% is 3%. 80% times 40% is 32%. Added these up, and that therefore is 135%. 135% is overachievement. This individual deserves a 4.
Well, not really. Let's look at it the way that's now going to be done in today's world, in the new way. The better way. It's a brave new world. Okay, let's take KPI A. KPI A, 300% achievement, fantastic. Well done, you get a 4. Not a 5, not a 10, a 4. You completely missed. You get a 1. We can't give you 0. 1 is the lowest. And 80% achievement on 3, on C, we say it's a 2 right now. Okay? Now what do? You take your 4, and you multiply it by the weighted average. So 4 times 30% is 1.2. 1 times 30% is 0.1. And 2 times 40% is 0.8. 0.03. So basically what happens is, you add them up, 2.1. They're at the edge of what? This individual is failing. They go from hero to failure. Yeah. Actually, this should be, if you multiply 1 times 0.3 is 0.3. You're right. I just put that in there to see if you don't catch it. No, you're absolutely correct. I just realized it too as I was talking to you about it. It's like, oops. Right? So it's a it should be a 2.4. It's still not good. Right? It's still not acceptable. That's why you can rate yourself up here when in reality you're down here. You were missing this. You were missing the 1 to 4 scale. Yeah.
So meaning, you see that currently we are using the top formula.
So we had people who had 800% achievement of KPIs. 800%. 800%. 800. So obviously this guy comes in the cape. He flies like Superman. He must. And there are a few things that explain that. One is that the system of accounting is wrong. 2 is that the targets that are set are incorrect. You cannot achieve 80%. Where does that come from? Heroes don't grow as flowers, right? They don't miracles don't occur. So there's something fundamentally flawed in the system, not in the people, in the system. So it's not your fault, it's the system. But having said that, now we actually have a basis for equivalence. Right? We're all playing on the level field. We're all playing on the level field, and it's not only about targeting. It's actually about what are we achieving. Because obviously, if this was important, and only 10% achieved, that hurt the organization. That hurt SPAN. Right? Yes, you did a good job up here, but SPAN is suffering here. So it's not right. It's not right. This is the way to look at it. And that's what's going to happen now in the future. So you understand this, right? So we're now on a score of 1 to 4 for KPIs, 1 to 4 for behaviors. Yeah? And ultimately, what's important? So this has been decided by the steering committee, by SPAN, that basically said we will weight the importance of performance, KPIs, higher than that of behaviors. So the weighted score is 70% of the total score is KPI related, and 30% is behavior related. Is it fair? I think so. I think so. Anything above 20%, it makes it worthwhile. If it was 50-50, it means that you really had your KPIs in order, and you're beyond here, you're actually closer to 100%. So now we can focus on behaviors. Behaviors lead. But for the moment, we haven't tried behaviors, and the KPIs are off balance. So let's underrate behaviors, and let's overrate KPIs. Makes sense. Makes sense. So that's why we have it. So basically, what happens is you have a KPI score. In this case, we saw from this individual was 0.1 or 0.4. And we have a total score for behaviors. That's what's come out. You multiply them out, you add them up, and that is your total score. KPIs plus leadership competencies, they both count.
Some more than others, but they both count. So what does that look like? Let's look at this score. So the final score is this KPI, this individual is 3.2, nice job, well done, but they're not doing good on the behaviors, they're below average. So this is somebody getting the job done, but doing it poorly, or misbehaving, or you're not acting the right way, right? Still, this individual, because they got the KPIs, a nice score on the KPIs, so 3.2 times 0.7 is 2.24, and their behaviors, 2.7 times 0.3 is 0.81. You add these up, it's about 3.0. So it's still okay. So in this system, you still can misbehave and not get in trouble. A little bit in trouble, not too much. Okay. Here's another one. What happens if it's the reverse? This is a very nice person. They're doing a great job behaving, 3.2, but they're not achieving their score. Wow, that's not as good. Because if you multiply by 0.7, you're basically below average. So being a nice person not doing your job is not as bad as doing your job and being not a nice person. So it's not 100% perfect. Well, that's okay. It's a start. It's a start. Here's another one. If you really are bad at your behaviors, so you're rated 1.8, but you're still doing a great job. So this is a real painful person. I'm not going to use any other term, but it's basically a difficult person, right? Who's not behaving the way they need to. It's going to affect their score, even if they do a good job of making it. It's going to affect their score, but they have to be pretty bad to get to that. And if they absolutely miss their KPIs, no matter how nice they are and how good they are in their behaviors, if you completely miss your KPIs, you're not moving the company forward. So therefore, you are in trouble. Okay, any questions on that? So we're using 1 to 4 for KPIs, 1 to 4 for behavior. We're using different scales. We have 7 behaviors that need to be rated. We have KPIs. In terms of KPIs, let's go back to this. And we'll see this in a minute. So basically, for the non-executives, what we're advising is that you have 3 to 5 KPIs to maximum. 3 to 5 KPIs, and that's the minimum weightage that a KPI can have is 15%. We write this in the forms, so you'll see it in the forms in a minute. Why is that important? Because we know as people, we only can remember 5 things. Easily. Some people can remember 20 things, but most of us 5 things. So when you ask what's your KPI, you have to be able to remember what they are. So give you 5 max. 3 minimum, why 3? Because basically if you only have 2 KPIs and you miss 1, it has a big impact. With 3 you can miss 1 and the other 2, if you do well, you're okay still. So 3 is to protect you, 5 is to make sure that you can remember and you can all remember what we're supposed to do. And the other thing is that KPIs are not about laundry lists. You know, I do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Here's a 5%, here's a 6%, here's a 10%. This KPIs are not laundry lists. They're about doing things that are going to make a difference and move this from here to here. There are only a few things in your job that can do that. Those are the strategic goals. Those are the things you want to measure. Doing your job is expected. You actually have one of them, right? Accountability. That comes out in the behaviors, that you have to do your job. So it's already being measured. So just taking your job description and putting them as KPIs, that's not what KPIs are about. That's incorrect. That's part of your job, maybe 20%, maybe 30% maximum. You can put that as a KPI if you wanted. And then there's another discussion of, well, poor span keeps on getting different changes in the ministry, commission asking this. We have to go through this. Our KPIs change. So maybe you can put that as a KPI. It's basically responding to customer demands by X, Y, Z. But the KPI that you write in there has to be one that you can control. So if something comes from the outside and tells you have to do this, okay, but what aspect of this that you have to do? That's what your KPI should be. It shouldn't be, I have to show up. I'm called to the ministry. Okay, what are you going to do there? That's what's important, not whether or not you're called to the ministry. And we had this case yesterday where somebody said in the room, I have to sit in a meeting because the ministry tells me I have to. I have no idea what I'm doing there. I don't do anything there. I just show up.
So you have to have some reason for it, right? What's the reason behind that? Can we identify what impact can that have on spam? Because you're doing some contribution at some level. What is it? And that's what the KPI should explore. It should explore what is the benefit that you're providing to the organization that's going to move it from where it is to where it needs to be. That's what the KPI should be. And they're not easy to write the first time. Because you always go back to, well, this is my job, and therefore this is what I do. These are the tasks, these are my KPIs. But they're not part of your KPIs. Your real KPIs lie in the strategic stuff, in helping the organization move forward. Okay? So we've done that. Now, there are 3 forms that are going to come out. The first one is the plan for the year. You do this in January for the remainder of the year. You can also do it in December. It's best to do it in December because when you start working in January, it's a full year. But most organizations do it in January. Right? And that's a detailed planning for your KPIs and leadership competencies for the full year. Very important. You can only accept 2 things about KPIs. One is that you can only accept the KPI if you're in control of it. Do not accept your boss telling you what your KPI is and you don't control the KPI. If it depends on somebody else to do the job, it's not your KPI. That's really, really important. Because otherwise, your performance depends on other people, not you. That's a very dangerous position to be in. So you need to be in control of your KPI. And the other thing is that the KPI has to be realistic within the year. It's a year. So don't accept a KPI that's a 3-year KPI. You know, by 2025, you will have done X, Y, Z. 2025, we're going to be here, let alone in the job. Not acceptable. At the end of 2021, if you write it January 2021, what do we need to achieve in 2021 December? That's it. In this year. Make sure there's only 1 year. Okay. Now, having said that, because you're a regulator because of all the things that happened to you, in June or July, there'll be what's called a mid-year review. At that time, you can rewrite KPIs because things change. But it's not the objective of the midterm review to rewrite all your KPIs. It's only exceptionally that we actually change the KPI because things truly change. And you should not be rewriting KPIs every month. And there's something fundamentally wrong with your job description, and there's something fundamentally wrong with the way you're operating. KPIs are a year. And every so often things happen, change, okay, mid-year review. That's what that's for. So that's the second set of forms. And the last set of forms is your rating for the year. How did we do on KPIs? How did we do on behaviors, on leadership competencies? And this is the only time of the year when you actually look at the rating of 1 to 4. We do not see ratings 1 to 4 here. We do not see ratings 1 to 4 here. It's not the objective of these meetings. These meetings are to set the plan, to review the plan and make sure that we're still on target, and what did we achieve. That's what this is about. 3 forms. Okay? Let me show you what those forms look like. And they're different for, slightly different for executives and non-executives. I'll just show you the non-executives. So this is the first set of forms. Job performance planning form. So this is the beginning of the year, the first one, for non-executives. There's the same set for executives and the same set for HODs. You are all running the same forms. It's just that the contents of the forms change depending on what level of the organization you're at. If you want me to show you them, I can, but now we're going to spend a lot of time looking at forms. So for expediency purposes, we'll just look at the non-executives. Okay? So here it is. Basically, it's the first page 1 of 18. What it is that you put your employee name, grade, et cetera, and you put your supervisor. And I guess some of you have 2 supervisors, so you put the second one. Now, these are the instructions. Read the instructions carefully. It says you have to be doing this with your boss. Do not allow your boss to do it alone. Don't sign a form that you have not participated in. Refuse to sign it. Otherwise, other reverse is true. Do not allow your boss to give you the form, say, fill it out, and I'll sign it. That is not a discussion. This is supposed to be a discussion. It's
supposed to be an interaction. So if you do this alone, you're defeating the purpose. And it's against you that it's not in your favor if you write this alone. Yeah, there's no discussion, therefore no conflict, and everything is fine. But it's not in your interest to do it that way. So make sure that you sit with the boss. This meeting takes about 20 minutes, half hour. If there's a fight, it might take a little longer. Disagreement, it might take a little longer, but it should take about half an hour. Remember, they're 18 pages. So what do you first do? You first do KPIs. And this is the chart that explains that, right? Remember this? You saw this morning, right? What is the overall strategy of the group? How does that translate to the division, the department, and what does that mean for you? And then over here, we'll do this in a few minutes, is what makes a good KPI? How to write a good KPI? Because I tell you, 99.9% of all KPIs written are lousy. So it takes practice to write a good KPI. And this is our Be Smarter approach that encompasses all of this. So this already shows you and the boss who are on it together. And remember what I said earlier? Minimum 3 KPIs, maximum 5 KPIs. And there should be no weightage less than 15% given to one KPI. Why? Because less than 15% means it's not important. If it's not important, why is it a KPI? There's a logic. Okay? That's the next one. Now, this is the first KPI, KPI 1. It's your KPI. It has to be linked to what is happening at the strategy level. So this is filled out already before you start. This next level, which is then the department level, we call it department, most companies call it division. What is, as a result of this strategy, what is the KPI that the department or division has? Based on that, what is the KPI that the next level, your department has? And therefore, what is your KPI to support this? How is your KPI going to support this? Which then supports this, which then supports this. There is a direct link between your KPI and the strategy. This is where you see it. You see it. It's not just something new. Right? You see this. This is what this is. This is exactly what this is. Right? So therefore, the KPI description, you can actually then put a target in here, because the target has to meet this. And it's not about, this is a KPI in our division or our department, so therefore everyone gets the same KPI. If everyone gets the same KPI, you're all doing the same job? Don't think so. Within that KPI, there has to be assignments. People have to do certain things. Focus on what you do, not what somebody else does. You only allow the KPI to happen if you are in control of it. And that's why I want you to fight. Fight for your KPIs, because it's the things that are important to you, that help you help the organization. That's really important. So learn to look at this in that regard. But don't worry about these being filled out. They have to be filled out by the bosses as it comes down the line. So you end up with it down. This is KPI 1, KPI 2, KPI 3, KPI 4, KPI 5, maximum. There's no other page, up to 5. So don't allow them to photocopy page number 6. Say, no boss, 5. Right? Don't allow them page 7.5, it's 7, not 7.5. So that's KPIs, right? And once you've written the KPI, once you have a target, now you can talk about what are they, right? And therefore, what is the weightage of each? Don't talk about weightage here. Here, you're just trying to establish the link between your KPI and the organization. Where's the organization going? And then now in here, you look at the weightage and you add the stretch target. The target is already given, it's here. So what would be the stretch target? That's another important discussion. So not only is the weightage important, but also stretch target. The stretch target, this is the difference between 3 and 4. It's the stretch target. If you reach stretch target, you should get a 4. Normally. If the stretch target is too easy, then it's still a 3. Normally. So if it's true, but also if the stretch target is completely ridiculous, then don't accept it. Right? You want to be able to achieve a 4. 3 is good, but 4 is better, right? So here again, there's an argument that could happen with the stretch target, and that could happen with the weightage, and could happen with the target. So you have 4 potential areas of conflict. The first one is the description of the KPI itself. The second one is the target. The third one is the stretch target. The fourth one is the weightage. That's why you need to discuss
have, swords at dawn. You don't want to kill your boss, they don't want to kill you. But basically, this is a discussion. And you have to feel comfortable with what you're doing. And that's why we have, all along here, comments. You don't have to fill it out, but if you're unhappy or you don't think this is right, write it. Documentation. That is the key word of today, documentation. Without documentation, you have no rights. You have no rights. The boss rules. With documentation, now, but you have to, A, be honest, B, be fair, and C, write it. Okay? That's all you do for KPIs for the planning session. The next piece, obviously, in the planning is the behaviors. Here we are again. This explains the behaviors. What are we expecting of it? The 7 behaviors. Why did we have fundamental versus foundational versus growth? And then we use what's called the KISS principle. KISS is basically keep, improve, stop, start. Those are the 5 types of things that you can do to behaviors. Keep is, yeah, you're doing it well, keep doing it. It's important. Improve is, you're not quite there yet. So let's move it a little further. Stop is exactly what it says. Don't do this behavior anymore. And start is, we're not seeing this behavior, we need to see it. KISS. Keep, improve, stop, start. Here again, you're going to have 7 core behaviors, right? So a minimum, put 2 down, and a maximum of 5. Because 5 times 7, you have 37 behaviors. 35 behaviors, right? But at the same time, you put nothing down, then you can do whatever you want. Right? So 2 behaviors to 5 behaviors using the KISS principle. Here it is. First one, remember honesty? Remember the do things, right? Expected behaviors, inappropriate behaviors. So you're going to be sitting there with the boss, going through honest, action, ethical manner, prioritize standards, needs. Here are the 5 potential. You want to fill in at least 2. And you either